What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Friends of Mortgage Heroes. Today, we're joined by one of the most electrifying people here in San Diego. He is a symbol of unity, a community leader, a realtor, and CEO of June the Realtor, Inc., a fellow podcaster, host of the JTR Show, but most importantly, a father. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to June Malan.
Hey. I need to have this guy do my intros, bro. What the hell?
What's up, bro? We're here.
What's up, man? We're doing it. We're killing it,
man.
huh?
I'm so excited, bro. It's finally happening. What's up, man? How's your vibe been? What's your week going like?
This week's been a little crazy, man. So my fiance, shout out to Divine. She just became a nurse.
Oh, you mentioned that.
Congrats,
Bro.
And she's working with the county, and so anyways, she's been working the night shift, so I'm full-time dad.
Hey, it'd be like that, bro. I know exactly what you mean. That's awesome, bro. So getting right to it, bro, give us a little bit of a rundown, man. How did June the Realtor come about? Who's June behind the Realtor? And give us a little story, bro.
So there's a long story and a short story to that.
Let's do the long story, bro. We got time.
All right. Well, so the long story of it, how June the Realtor came to be. So, I mean, you really want to break it down. I feel like when I was a kid, must have been like 4 or 5 years old. I would go to kindergarten and I would tell people like, hey, my dad's a realtor. I think at the time my dad was trying to become a real estate agent. This is back, I don't know, 2005 or 6 or something like that, right? And I would just tell kids in class like, oh, my dad's a realtor. Subconsciously, one of my uncles, my dad's brother, he actually was taking the same classes as my dad and ended up becoming a realtor. My dad didn't do real estate, and so he stuck with, at the time, he was a debt collector. And so fast forward, right? Let's see, 2017, Andy knows a lot about this. 2017, I was kicked out of my dad's house. My dad's a pretty strict guy. So I got to a point where I'm like, okay, well, I got to find a way to take care of myself, right? Because now I'm an adult, or about to be an adult, and I need to find ways to take care of myself. So I got a job, and I started working for a company called 24 Asset Management. 24 Asset Management. And what they did is they managed foreclosed REO homes for Chase. And so I did all the pre-marketing for those homes to get them like cleaned up. All these foreclosed homes had like if they had long like weeds in the grass or whatever, I had to call up people to come clean it up.
Yeah.
Any issues with the homes. And so that was my initial break into real estate. But I didn't realize what I was doing at the time, right? No, I'm serious. Like,
it's that like slow, soft walk into having a full career. It's like most people's real estate and mortgage career starts. Oh, I just started with this little job, and then I had this little job, and then I had a big job, and now I have a full job.
And then I'm here.
Oh yeah. And so that was my initial break, and I started realizing like, okay, I do real estate. They had me going over deeds to make sure that deeds were typed up correctly and that there was no errors or issues. So we would like compare deeds all the time just to make sure there was no issues with them or contracts. And so I did that from 17 and a half till I turned 18. My best friend, Joe Rice, he works for a company called Veterans First Mortgage.
Oh, okay.
And he was at that time, and he had reached out to me and he said, hey, this company's hiring and I want you to come and apply. I'm like, okay, what do you do? I do mortgages. What the fuck is a mortgage? I'm like,
straight up.
You're speaking something that's not my language. He's like, don't worry, you just come on in, like just apply, you'll figure it out. He's like, you're good at sales and you're good at talking to people, you have a chance. So I said, okay. So I get an interview like days after my 18th birthday, right?
Yeah.
And his manager at the time, his name's Taylor Romero, and that guy, he interviewed me, and there was 2 people that interviewed me, and they both I could hear them in the background arguing over me in the interview, right? So they hired me on the spot, right? Which I was like, I walked into this building in downtown. It's like right next to Ballast Point.
Okay.
And downtown, and I'm like, just so intimidated. I'm very intimidated, and I'm like, man, what the...
Keep in mind, you're just turned 18, bro. I mean, you're getting thrown into the lion's den.
Yeah, straight up. I'm like,
right away.
Here you go,
Yeah,
18.
dude.
Usually, people are like, hey, I worked at, Chick-fil-A, I got a job, being a server, but nah, man, you went straight to the financial district.
Oh, man, and it's like right in the heart of Little Italy. I mean, and there's all these at the time, this was 2018, right? So January 16th, 2018, and so I walk into the office. I see all these people popping their collars. They're freaking straight killers in the industry. And here I am, a shy little timid kid, not knowing what the hell a mortgage even is, what kind of job I'm getting into. And these guys just hire me on the spot because they like me. So shout out to Taylor. If you hear this, man, I do owe you a lot. We didn't end on good terms, but if he hears this, I want him to know that. And so I got into doing mortgages, right? And at the time, I had graduated from living in my car to living in a halfway house. But we call it a halfway house. It's really a church men's home, but that's the way I refer to it because it was grimy, it's dirty, and druggies would sometimes come in and out. That's just, the church is very helpful with those kinds of things. And so I was living there, and I started trying to figure out mortgages slowly but surely. And sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. So what I ended up doing was I saved up enough money, right? I was, like I said, I was learning mortgages, saved up enough money. I got my own apartment, right? So all these things are working in the dynamics, right? Like I'm getting there to answering the whole question.
Yeah, no, I'm following, bro.
So I end up saving up enough money. I get my own apartment, and I get to a point where maybe six months down the road, I'm finally closing like 2 to 3 loans a month. And as soon as I sold my first deal, which took me about 4 months to do, the first thing I said was, I can sell a house. Right? That's the first thing. So I had all these things in the back of my head. I'm like, real estate, I don't know what I'm doing, but it felt like I was getting guided towards this direction. And that was the first thing I said. And so, but I kept my head down. I kept grinding, right? 2019 gets a little better, right? Saving up money, stacking up cash. I remember when my bank account hit its first like 5,000. I'm like, oh shit, I got 5,000 saved away. Each check is stacking up. 2020 rolls around, COVID, boom. Rates drop, boom. I turned into a shy, timid, 18, 19-year-old to a fucking 20-year-old, like, master. I'm like training people in the office. I'm like, do this, jump on this, do this, pitch it this way, talk this way, say this, do that. And so, 2020, I got to a point where I was killing it. I was doing 10 to 15 loans a month, man.
Wow.
Yeah, I have the plaques. I got to take some pictures so that way people can believe me. But I have them at home now in my office, and I'm like, dude, I cannot believe the amount of stress I put on myself. But it helped me get to a point where in 2021 I was able to buy my first home, and I remember when I opened the door, I got the keys to my house. Ninas was my realtor.
I've seen him. He followed me, and I was like, I saw the same last name. I'm like, hey, wait a minute.
That's my uncle. That's my like I said, fast forward 20 years, right?
That was the uncle that.
Yes.
Full circle. I like this story.
Yeah. So my uncle played a very, very vital, big part. He would tell me all the time because I got to a point where I started hating mortgages. It's just because
you don't say.
Buddy.
Everyone has that moment at some point or at numerous points in their career.
I'm at numerous points, but hey.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. See what I'm saying? But different folks for different strokes for different folks, right? So for me, like, that's why I graduated, and we'll get there. But that's why I went to real estate, and that's where I essentially it brought me to. But no, man. So in 2021, I remember I got the keys to my house. And I just remember bawling my eyes out, man. And the reason is because it was a long. I feel like Nelson Mandela. It was like a long walk to freedom for me. It all goes back to the way I grew up, the way I was raised. My parents split when I was a kid, right? My dad raised me as a single father. I never really knew. I grew up in a split family, right? So I never really knew my. I didn't have a good grip on my bearings of like life, man, and I didn't know what home was, and so all I had ever tried to do up until that point was find home. And I realized that when I got my own home, I realized that this is what I want to do. And so 2022, I had bought my real estate books during COVID, and I sat on them for like 2 years, and it wasn't until about 2023 or late 2022 that I finally started studying. And I put I started getting things ready and went and applied and got my real estate license because I realized in 2022 when the rates started going back up, I knew life wasn't going to be like hunky dory, right? So I said, all right, I got to make a business move now for myself because if I don't do it, I'll never do it. And I'm just going to be a slave to the man 9 to 5 for life. And so the way June the Realtor came to be was actually June the Lender at first.
I remember that.
It was June the Lender at first. Or it's actually, you really want to kick it back, it was Ephraim the Lender because that's my first name.
It's funny because I think we were falling back and forth on each other, and then you would change. I saw June the Lender and then Ephraim, and then I'm like, wait, is it the same person?
Yeah. It is the same guy.
Hey, this dude's copying him.
I'm like, wait, he's wearing a hat here. He's bald here.
Yeah,
he has glasses on. This.
He had hair. He doesn't have hair anymore. The guy, did he have a beard? And so no, but finally, to answer the question, like how June the Realtor came to be, that's the long story of it, man. It was a long walk to freedom for myself to get to a point where I had the gumption to do it, right?
I want to go back real quick because there's a good business lesson for people in here. Again, as the elder on the set today, there's a good business lesson that I want to make a pit stop because you mentioned going from like maybe 2 loans a month, 3 loans a month to then being in 2020 and 21 when rates dropped and it's like 10, 15 loans a month. We were there too.
Right.
Those plaques are like some of them, they're behind you. Some of those ones right there.
Oh yeah.
But that happened to everybody. And so what I want to tell everybody here who might be in real estate or thinking about real estate, thinking about mortgages, is there's these peaks and valleys in the market, but you don't have to have peaks and valleys of your life. That's number one.
Yes.
You will either be a slave to your system or you'll be set free by your system.
Yes.
That's something I had to learn the hard way by having those lulls and having those highs. Now, when you have 2 loans a month, you can kind of get away with being a little loosey-goosey in your process because, I got all the time in the world to make something up, or not make it up, like make up the time or make up the lack of effort or make up the laxness or whatever. But when you got 10 rocking at once, 15 rocking at once, it actually exposes the weaknesses in your system that then you can shore up and tighten up so that you can handle at a standard level 10 and 15. So where that's not an outlier anymore and that's not the exception, that becomes the rule. So I'd say flex into that when you're having that season of your life, whether it's a month, a quarter, or a year, where you're having a 3x, 5x, 10x return in number of deals in escrow. That's when you refine your system by force because it's going to have to happen. So you're either going to die trying, or you're going to let that shape and form what you're going to go do next. So that is a great little lesson kind of tucked in between you making that comment about doing 10, 15 a month.
I like that you mentioned that, Andy. And, one of the things that came for me was that, you were given an opportunity at a young age. Did you know whether it was going to work out or not? No, you didn't. But one of the things that I did catch on to was that you had the attitude, you had the charisma, and the energy was there. And if anybody at home could take something from that, is that you don't always have to be the most qualified. You don't always have to be the most prepared, but you do have to have that attitude and you do have to have that hunger. And I believe that in itself is a lesson to learn, because if you have all those things and you just don't have the skills and the knowledge, that all can be taught, but you can't teach the hunger. You can't teach the want. And I think that right there is just a great, proof that if you take a leap of faith, you don't know what's on the other side. Ooh. But dude, if you have that faith, things can work out. And even if you don't think that you're in the right moment, your decisions right now take you to the moment that you're supposed to be.
Absolutely. No, leap of faith is like big. It's funny that you just mentioned that, because I was going to circle this all back in, that none of this is possible without God.
100%. Faith.
None of it was possible without God. I remember I was sitting in the parking lot of the of Veterans First, and I'm there, and again, I'm praying for a job that I don't even know what I'm getting myself into. Lo and behold, boom, like God opened the door. And it wasn't even just a cracked open. No, mortgage, like professionals, man, they'll call you back and they'll say, we reviewed your application. No, dude, they were fighting over me. There was 2 managers fighting like, oh, I want him. No, I want him. No, I want him. And it's like, dude, I have no experience whatsoever. So they took a shot on something that, like, they had no idea if it was going to pan out. I actually, when I left, by the way, so I ended up leaving fully in November of last year. I wish I still had the email, but I was their most profitable person. So the way they break it down is by chair. And I was their most profitable person, like hands down, hand over fist. Like because the leads would, I did consumer direct, right? So the leads would come in and I would answer, and
Boom.
yeah, very, very good. So they say, like, very good lenders average about 3 out of 100 leads, right? They'll close on 3 out of 100. I was going at about 6. So on average. And so you start kind of figuring things out as you go along, man. You're like, how is this possible? None of it was possible without God. Sorry.
100%.
Go ahead.
One thing I want to mention too about real estate is that, for those of you who like hiking, you're going to get this. If you don't like hiking, pretend you like hiking for this next part.
Let me pretend I do.
So you
Okay.
get to a
I love
trailhead,
hiking.
right? And the trailhead's pretty wide. And then you get up the mountain a little bit, and there's these little pathways that kind of spin off from there.
Oh,
and so
yeah.
you can start in real estate doing one thing, and you can find a trailhead that goes somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it can be in real estate or title or appraisals or something else like that,
Escrow.
home inspection. But eventually they all lead to the summit. They just take different paths. So you can start in one thing and end up doing another thing, just like you're talking about here.
Yep.
And you can still end up at the summit with everybody.
You know what's funny? I don't like hiking, but every time I did hike, when we would do the Christians run for the hike, I would think about that, like, look at all these different paths, but eventually they all lead to the same place, the top. And I'm like, it's funny. Like, I'm gonna take this path, and then I would think in the back, I'm like, hey, I guess that's how life is, huh? You just take one path, that path takes you somewhere, but somehow down the line you're able to bring it right back.
Yeah.
And every path is like that. Like, it's so silly that it just literally like, I don't like hiking, but I like taking paths. Yeah. So moving forward, bro. Okay, you locked down on being a lender, bro. We saw an opportunity in 2022 to make a leap of faith once again.
Yep.
Tell us about that second leap of faith.
Oh man. So there was 2 leaps of faith, I'm going to say, in my process. The first leap of faith happened for me. I left Veterans First Mortgage. I left, I went back, and then I left again. So I left in September of 2022, and I got my license January 2023. And as I'm going through my process, I come out swinging, right? Like anybody, right? You come out swinging. You want to be the best. I'm gonna be the freaking. I'm gonna get in there. And so you're like, you when you become an agent, you start realizing like, oh damn, I was once intimidated as a lender. Oh my God, dude, I'm more intimidated as a realtor because now I'm going into my own business, right? Which I didn't even know. I didn't know the mechanics of how it was all gonna work out. Like I just knew I wanted to do something different, right? And so when I left in January of 2023, September 2022, got my license January 2023, I came out swinging, man. I'm trying to get whatever I could, bro, like any deal, which I'm glad I joined real estate in January of 2023 because it was the worst market.
Arguably the worst time to get in.
That sounds counterintuitive, but there's actually something very wise in that. Is those hard times build in you that makes the easy times easy,
Right.
But those hard times build in you the practices you need to endure because there will be hard times. And so if you fail to adopt those behaviors in the hard times,
absolutely,
and you only have them in the good times, that actually means expose you. It means you're actually not good. It's just that the times are good and they're tolerating you.
Absolutely. Well, and I noticed this too. So to circle it back a little bit, when I started in lending, okay, I started in January 2018. Okay, so 5 years later, right? January 2018 was not a good year for lenders.
No, the first rate that I got in, I remember, it was in 2018. I had just started in the industry end of 2017. Got my license towards the middle of 2018. First loan I locked, I can't forget, 5.250.
Yeah,
VA loan.
Oh yeah.
When you
start getting down to the end of that year, 2018. Rates started peaking at about 6.25.
They touched roughly the high 5s, and then they started coming back down. They took a quick little pit stop around 4.3s, and then completely freaking dropped after 2020.
So the first leap of faith, when I had walked out, in September 2022, like I said, I came out swinging, but I only closed one home that entire year. So I have a more. I'm 21, or let's see, how old was I at that time? So I'm 22 at that time. No, 23, but I have a mortgage, right? And I'm like, okay, I got big boy problems now. I got $50,000 in credit card debts that I assumed over that year, right? I'm like, how am I going to get out of this? I'm like, all I know is I just got to keep making my payment, mortgage payment somehow, some way. And so it gets to September, I finally sell my first house in September 2023, and it was a freaking manufactured home, right? And I hated, as a lender, I hated doing manufactured homes. Like,
and then look at you, huh?
And then I'm like, oh, look, I just get blessed with a manufactured home. But that taught me a lot, though. Yeah. And the commission was like, I don't know, it was like $6,000, right? Which was a pretty good amount for manufactured home. But I'm like, that doesn't pay my mortgage for that whole year. Like, so I was doing Uber to get by. I called my boss up, Taylor, my old boss, and this was like, I had a really bad day doing Uber one time. I was on Campo Road going toward Hamul, and I was stuck in traffic. It was a $5 ride, and I'm like sitting there for an hour, angry, just angry. And I told myself to remember that feeling because I never want to feel that feeling again.
I know what that feels
and
like.
So I called my boss up. We figured it out. He brought me back on, and I worked all of last year as a lender up until November. I had did about, I don't know, maybe 45, 50 loans. And then I got to a point where I'm like, I can't do this anymore.
Again.
I matured a little bit because I was like, I was doing all this work and whatnot, and I'm like, no, I just can't do this anymore. It's no longer for me. I can't get up and leave my fiance anymore with my daughter. I cannot let my daughter not have her father every day, right? I can't come home angry every day because of my choices. I got to do something, and even if it means losing my house, fuck it, I'll lose my house. But I'm going to do something that I'm passionate about and that I love. So my second leap of faith happened in November. And I get a call after I left my job, and my brother-in-law, probably day after I quit, my brother-in-law says, "Hey, I'm ready to buy a house."
Let's go. Momentum,
How
baby.
How crazy is that?
Let's go.
And ever since then, I've been closing houses every single month, nonstop.
So there's actually a third leap of faith that I don't know that people in this audience know about yet, but they're going to find out soon if they haven't, which is you also launched your own show.
Oh,
so you launched your own show, June the Realtor, and Brian said it in your intro. So you have I have the unique experience of being on this interview with you today.
Yeah.
But I'm normally behind the camera producing your show that we host here, or you host your guest here in our studio here.
Right.
So what was the emphasis behind making that big leap again right after having made the one prior to that? Like, hey, I'm gonna go real estate full time. Oh, and also now I'm gonna go launch a show.
So I've always growing up as a kid, they would always make fun of me. They, as in my family, they'd say, "Dude, you were born with like a radio in your gut, man. You don't shut the fuck up." And I've come to realize that I'm a good talker, but more importantly, and I'm going to highlight something here. That it's a big saying, and I probably say it almost every podcast. But people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And the thing is I genuinely care about people, and I like talking to people. And I realized, you know what? One of the gifts that God has given me is not just that I can help people put keys in their hands for a home, but it's that I can highlight certain things and ask people certain things because of the way I think I come across. I don't know. I haven't really figured it out yet. You probably know because this guy's the 10,000-foot overview guy. But I have...
Andy, can I get some help here?
No, but I that third leap of faith, like, I don't know where podcasting is going to take me. I love it, though. I just don't see now that I'm doing it, I don't see another.
So part of it that I know, and I've had to learn this as I've been a host for the Mortgage Hero Show and Friends of Mortgage Heroes and a bunch of other things, is, you have to be an intentional listener. And I know when I'm sitting over here on the other side of the camera and watching you with your guest, you're intentionally listening for things you can pick up on, or maybe even they think they're just answering, but to you, it's a cue that there's something else going on.
Oh, yeah.
But so that matched with your curiosity, I think, is what's helped create and foster some of these really amazing conversations. And what's interesting too is, and when I'm producing your show, it does not feel like an hour has passed. It does not feel like an hour 15 has passed. And I'm not sure how long it feels to you when you're on, when you're in the hot seat. Like it might feel like 20 minutes, 20, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think it's a combination of those skill sets. It's listening, number one, and then that curiosity you have to know more about behind that helps really just create some amazing conversations.
Oh yeah. So in my mind, when I'm sitting down and I'm talking to guests, you ever see there's like a picture, right? And this picture shows two guys with a pickaxe, right? And there's like a group of diamonds, right? You notice what I'm talking about? It's like there's like diamonds, and this guy's picking at it, right? And one's taking his axe and he's walking away, but he's almost about to hit the diamonds. And so that's how I feel when I'm talking to people. Is I feel like when I ask a question, I do ask it with intention, and then they sometimes will reveal and they'll give me a little more substance there that I'm not afraid to ask. And like, hold on, what else is behind that? Because you said something a certain way, and my mind registers it a certain way. What else is behind what you're saying.
One of the things that I've learned as as a podcast host is almost that, when you ask a question, your guest is going to answer it, but they also want you to unlock the answer. And what I mean by that is that they themselves sometimes don't know how to say what they feel or say it exactly how they want to. But if you're in the host and you're listening with intention, you can almost feel what they say. So you don't need to understand it. You just have to feel the energy that they're in. Meet them there. And what you say next almost unlocks that next conversation, but it was needed. And that's like some synergy that you can't just make up out of thin air. It needs to be in the moment. And that's one of the things that I've just appreciated and, over time loved about podcasting, that you're genuinely able to really see who someone is, really understand their thoughts, really understand, why they think what they think. And then maybe you didn't even like it, but now you're like, oh, shoot, look at this person. Like, I don't agree with what they say, but now my perspective is way different because I know who they are, what they are, and I can understand that.
100%. Yeah.
So you do a lot with the community as well, bro. How has your podcast become more like a beacon of, help for getting people's, promoting out there, for helping business owners? I know you do a lot for the community.
Yeah. So I was just talking to this guy. I don't know if you've heard of Connect Realty. Have you ever heard of them?
Okay. Familiar.
So I just talked to the broker. His name's Clint. I talked to him last night.
Oh, yeah. I know who you're talking about.
So
I seen him on social.
I hope he sees this because we were talking. He does his own podcast.
Well, we'll add him on here, bro. Yeah.
Yeah. But we were talking about this yesterday, right? What do you want to see out of this? Like, for me, I look at it as podcasting is a plus all the way around for somebody like me because, number one, like, yes, I could see it. Like, my podcast is supposed to be a beacon of hope for giving away and doing raffles and doing whatever, right? Like, I just had Ryan Anthony on and I bought 40 jackets with him and my other buddy Josh, and we did it all to just give back to the community. Now, what's the plus in that? The plus is, if you're thinking of it that way, right? There's like, have you ever watched Mr. Beast?
Yeah.
Okay, Steve, have you ever watched Steve Will Do It?
Yeah, I
okay,
do.
So I love Steve Will Do It. I honestly...
He will.
Yeah, because he will. No, he's a great guy because think of it this way, right? He gives back, and he lives his life, right? But he gives so much back to the community, so much to people. He flies around the world, hands out tens of thousands of dollars, and it all comes back. Why? Because if on the business perspective of it, you're giving away, but it's also a write-off.
Yeah.
Right? So to me, that whole saying of, oh, it's better to give than to receive, well, for somebody like me, 1,000%. I can write that off as a business expenditure. I can also give back to the community that has done nothing but loved me, raised me, showed me my way of life. Like hell yeah! Why wouldn't I?
Yeah, I think there's a uniqueness that's kind of cropped itself up in this environment we find ourselves in, and it's like a two-headed monster. Part is some people are, I'll say, more suited for doing the long form podcasting like you are doing, and also they are looking to use that as leverage to do good. And so when those two things can get married together, I think there's a lot of organic traction in that, as well as good deeds. Now, some people will do good deeds because they want something on the other end of that. Like, oh, I'm only going to do the good thing if I get something back out of it, rather than the more of an altruistic place. And I think that comes through, especially in podcasting world right now, where you can actually sniff through the BS. And you can see who's doing it because they want gain on the other side,
right?
And you can see who's doing it because they really just truly care.
Oh yeah,
and that's I think that's going to be a big separator. And as this kind of format has become a little bit more, a lot more accepted on the consumer side, people get a choice now. Am I going to listen to what you're saying and feel you out and then hire you, or guess I'm just going to call you and not know anything about you? Right. And so those of you who are demonstrating that and revealing yourself and what you care about and who you care for and all that in advance of the person hiring you, you're kind of ahead of some of the pack that isn't willing to be that vulnerable. I think that's actually working for you right now.
Well, Clint talked about this yesterday when I was speaking to him. You know, he did like a 10,000 egg. What's it called? Like for Easter egg hunt.
Easter egg hunt?
At a church. He did 10,000 eggs. Yes. And he was like, man, when I was a kid, I had to live for those things, man. I lived to go to those kinds of things because I wasn't he didn't have it like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so yeah, totally. Like I'm a big believer in giving away. I've always been taught that way, right? Like we were talking about it earlier. Like my grandparents didn't come here to America for no reason, right? They came here to do something bigger than themselves. And that's why I'm a firm believer in, like, if you're gonna do something, you gotta like you're given one shot at life. You better freaking give it back. You better do it so good and so bigger than anyone else, because you only got one shot.
You know, and that's powerful. I think in a world where in real estate, in our industry, everyone does the exact same thing. We sell the exact same service. Everybody has access to the same properties.
Correct.
What differentiates yourself from, other realtors? I think it's you being genuine. You actually falling 100% on yourself and saying, hey, this is who I am, because you're going to see that you start attracting the right people. And if you're being someone else, trying to portray something you're not, you're going to attract something that you definitely don't want to, continue forward on. But I feel that the more that you're honest, the more that you're true with yourself, that's how the community is able to actually say, hey, this guy really cares. He's not just out here giving stuff away because I want something in return in the back end. And although there's going to be those people that think that regardless, honestly, who cares about them? Because the intention behind it, you know what you're doing it for. They're just, probably negative in the back of their head. But I think the biggest message here is that, the feeling I get when I help somebody and I get nothing in return is almost, if not better than if I, closed the deal, got paid by somebody. I mean, when you need money, you need money. But when you help somebody and they feel so in gratitude towards you, you almost feel like you gained something. That feeling right there is what I literally continue and continuously come back to this industry. Although there's a whole bunch of madness everywhere and there's stressful times, that feeling is what I just continuously come back to.
100%. My father growing up, when he was raising me, like I remember Christmas being one of his happiest days because I'm learning this now as an adult. Like I don't look forward to gifts on Christmas because I don't know how to react. Like as a kid, I would get so excited, but now I'm like, this is weird. It's a weird feeling when somebody's gifting you something, right? But when you see the joy that it brings to like kids' faces, right? You start to realize like, oh, they're so happy. They're so, right? And why is that? It's because they know that you're caring for them. Yeah. They know that you're loving them. They know that like, oh my gosh, you went out of your way, Dad, to buy me this PlayStation or to buy me this toy, this thing. Like you mean a lot to me. And so vice versa with the community. Like I don't know how to accept a gift, right? I don't know. Like it's very weird when somebody gives me something, but for the most,
June, we got you there. No.
You're in luck because we got you nothing.
I love that. It's like, wait, where's that?
Oh yeah, never mind. We got you.
You can stop looking.
No, but I'm just saying, like that's it in a nutshell, man. I mean, I So I hope did I answer your question?
Perfectly, bro.
So again, as I've become older, I have less work trips now than I used to. But a couple of years ago, I adopted this little habit where wherever I was at, I'd find like a novelty store or something where I can find my kids' socks and my wife's socks. So once I was at a conference in Las Vegas and I found like a novelty sock store and I bought everyone like a different pair of socks. And then this not too long ago I was in Houston recording a conference and doing podcasts at that location. And I got them all Buc-ee's socks.
Oh,
so
that's
I went to Buc-ee's and got everyone a different. I got my Buc-ee's mug here.
Yeah.
I got everyone a different pair of socks. So now I have like this thing, and to them it's a surprise because they're like, okay, at this point they know the gig's up. Dad's bringing socks.
Right.
They already know. Okay. But what's fun about it is that they don't know what they are, and they don't know why I picked them. But I pick it, and I have an explanation for every single kid.
Yeah.
Why? It. And so here's how it's flipped again as an older man, right? So now for Father's Day every year, I get a bird shirt. Not because I really want a bird shirt, but it's become this joke. So, Brian, when you see me rolling around here with like a flamingo.
I did. It all makes sense now. Thanks. I'm like, with that.
My toucan shirt. That's because my girls have been giving me these shirts now year after year. And I'm like, and I actually love them. So now I look forward to it because I'm like, oh, I know I'm getting a bird shirt.
Yeah.
What's it going to look like?
Yeah.
One year it was pink. I'm like, oh, this thing looks like pajamas. But for me, it's fun on the receiving side because it's something we're thinking about for each other. And now it's become a little inside thing. It's cool.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. I think I realized I grew up when I started being so joyful about getting gifts and then being super excited to give someone their gift.
Yeah.
And then waiting for them to see their facial expression and opening it. Oh my God,
yeah.
you got me this. I'm like, yes, I did right. And then if their facial expression wasn't good, I'm like, I fucked it up.
Yeah. That's me with my fiance all the time. Like for Mother's Day, I got her like a little $200 gift card, right? I mean, she gets spoiled a lot anyways. I give her gifts all the time. It's like there's a book that we're actually reading. What's it called? The
Four Love Languages?
I don't know what book you're reading.
No. But I always look to
Andy,
you
what's in my
Andy reads my mind. No, Andy knows where I'm going.
I don't know
the
what
love
book
languages.
you have, 5 love languages.
Yeah.
And so
by Gary Chapman.
yes, and so
I do know that book.
I know. Yes.
Andy, what's my thought right now? What's my thought? Give me a thought.
But do you see how I look at it? I'm like, because he knows where I'm going, though.
What's your love language?
Or
your top?
It's not safe for work. No, I'm just kidding.
Physical, okay, so
Hey,
physical,
perro.
so you're talking about physical touch.
Yeah.
Hold on. The qualifier in the book is non-sexual physical touch.
Yeah. So mine would be.
Damn it. He's like,
No. Mine is words of affirmation is one, and then acts of service would probably go right under.
You're doing a really good job today.
Am I?
There's no words of affirmation.
So no,
Do you really think so?
so I definitely, like, for me, I am definitely, like, the way that I show love is acts of kindness. The way that I like to get my love shown is words of affirmation. Like, I think that's just what does it for me. And it's like, when I realized that that's how I was, I'm like, oh, it makes so much sense.
What's Michelle's?
Michelle is time.
Quality time?
Quality time. She's quality time. Like that, like, I'm like, I know what she needs. Like, I'm like, words, talk to me nice. She's put everything away. 5 minutes of quality time is better than an hour.
How about Divine? What's hers?
So Divine's is quality time, and then underneath that would be gifts.
Gifts?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, she listens to this. Like, Brian, do you know me at all?
All my girls are different too. So like Jen's is quality time.
Yeah,
number
I
one.
can definitely
then
see that.
acts of service number 2. Like then like all the rest of them are like tied for like last place.
Yeah, right.
She's like, yeah, all the other ones are like all the same. She actually had introduced a 6th love language. I'm not sure if you guys can relate to this one. It's
Which one?
Food.
Oh yeah.
Whatever your favorite food is, like that's up there with the quality
Hey,
time.
when in doubt, just, 6 man.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
No, I'm like the way I look at it is like this, man. If she's hangry, you need to get her
Quick,
Yeah,
anything, dude.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you don't even have to
Minimal
be
conversation.
Hangry. It could just be like, hey, I really want. I heard that. Now that's what we're doing.
I didn't even understand the word hangry because I growing up, like, I didn't really care for food. Like, I was not that kid. I didn't really care for food. Like, if I wanted food, I went and got it. Right. I wasn't on a time basis. Right. Like, when you get into a relationship with somebody, especially like a girl. Dude, they want to eat, bro. Go take them out to eat, and then you can do whatever you want after.
Well, that changes when you're a mom, though, too, because then there's a moment where, hey, it's better for us to eat now. Even though I might be less hungry, but this is when the baby's going to be asleep or whatever. Yeah. You get like, there's all this other element that comes into that.
Absolutely.
So let's lean into that, bro. What has changed in your life since your girl has been around? Like, how has the dynamics at home, business, and just in general? What's different?
Which girl, Divine or Camila?
Your baby girl, bro.
Oh, my daughter?
Yeah.
I don't even know how to answer that question because it's just changed so much. I would say the biggest thing that I've learned is, and I talked about this on one of my podcasts, and Andy knows which one I'm talking about. There's like curses within my family that need to be broken, right? And I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect, but it's the biggest thing for me when my daughter came into my life is I was in such a like fight or flight mode. Okay, I'm just like me being really open with the audience. I was in such a fight or flight mode. Like, my daughter was born on a Sunday. I was back to work on Tuesday, right? Like, it was quick, and I didn't get a full chance because I'm like, dude, I'm like 4 months behind on my mortgage, right? I'm like trying to work with the mortgage company to freaking do a deferral, right? And there's so much is going on. I'm like, I got to get money to take care of us because my girl's in nursing school, but she's not out yet. She's not making money yet. She's barely gonna graduate nursing school. Yeah, exactly. I'm taking care of her, taking care of us, and it's just it wasn't easy. And so Camila really put like come November, right, when I could finally, like, I hit a breaking point in November is what it was, and I just couldn't deal with all the anxiety, all the stress, all the just the turmoil from the way I grew up. That I kid you not, I was like, you know what, man, I just need to be a good dad. Let me just focus on the things that matters most. And so Camila, when I walked away from work, it was the best thing to ever happen to me because I could finally start getting up in the morning and feeding her. Divine could finally start sleeping. Yeah. Like, just so many things got better. And so she put a freaking jetpack in my like system, bro, that allowed me to just boom, like fly. Cause I kid you not, every man is selfish. I don't give a fuck what you say. Every man is selfish. Every woman is selfish too. But every man, we all have our own like ways. And so it's like when you have a baby, it like humbles the shit out of you, especially when you finally man up and you're like, okay, I got to be a dad now, right? I got to get up in the morning. I got to change my daughter. I got to feed her. Like right now, every morning we have this thing, right? Like I get up, I feed her, I change her, and then I let her play. It's like, you know, once you stop being selfish, you start to realize like how good life really actually is. Right?
I can follow along with that because I feel, you know, over the last 2 years, I have 2 boys, and I love my boys to death, but I didn't feel that I was living in the moment with them as much as I should have. What I mean by that is that I found myself at times trying to distract myself because I'm like, I'm not doing enough for work. Hey, I need to pay this. Hey, I need to do that. And I would mask, you know, my time that is, you know, precious and so short-lived from, you know, what everyone tells me at the age that they're at, you know, sitting down with them, listening to them, even though they're gibbering, whatever they're saying, like just listening to them, spending quality time. And I got to a point where I just felt like I needed to change my identity. And I mean, like, completely not change, like, who I was, but the things that I prioritized, the things that were important to me, the things that mattered really in actual life, day in and day out. And little by little, I noticed that if I changed my habits, things in my life would be more organized. Yes. So instead of hating, you know, my business is not going the way that I want to, I'm not doing this, I'm not enough, I focused on things that I could, you know, work on, my small habits, you know, being present with my kids. And one of the things that I've learned in these last 4 months that I've been practicing that is that I feel more calm. Even though I'm still not where I want to be, right. I feel more at ease. I feel more in the moment, and I feel more in control. Yes. Like I don't feel like I'm in the passenger of my own life, and I'm riding in the back seat, tucked away, and I'm like, oh, hopefully this thing doesn't crash. and it got to the point where I'm like, I'm appreciative of that. And now I listened to something yesterday, and it just completely put everything into perspective. I'm sure you probably listened to it because we listened to the same thing. PBD brought up a conversation of, you know, this lady that shared the story of where she was 85, woke up in her body at 36. Her baby boy was at the door, bed hair, you know, messy, half woken up, and she literally would just spend time with the baby and realized that the time you have with your loved ones supersedes any accomplishment, any sorts of money, anything that you want to do. And dude, I bawled like a little girl. I shared it with my sister. I'm like, dude, I'm crying right now. I sent her a picture. But that right there just solidified everything that I've been working on to just say, hey, you're still not there. You're mentally getting aligned, but this is the sign that you just keep going forward. Yeah. And one of the things that I appreciate that you mentioned is that you have to get to the point where you're willing to literally lose everything and just go in 100% on yourself, and even then have faith that it's all going to work out. Yeah. Like, I think that's such a powerful route, and I just, you know, I am such gratitude that I have my kids because, dude, they're your propellers for everything, bro.
Yeah, they change everything, man. We live in a superficial world where it's like glitz and glamour. We just talked about this, ego, glitz and glamour, right? I like nice things. Yeah. I want to have nice things, but at what cost, right? Like, do I want nice things so much that I'm willing to, like, give up picking up my daughter in the mornings and, like, feeding her and putting her down to play? That's my life now. Yeah. Like, I can't imagine. Somebody just told me, so I'm working on getting a podcast guest. His name's Baby Bash, right? I'm working on it. And I talked to one of the guys that's super close to him. I talk to him every day. And this guy, I ask him questions. His name's Mikey P. I'm going to send this to him so he can see. But he told me, he's like, if my kids don't come with me for work, right? And he works alongside Baby Bash. They don't come. Then I'm not going. Right? I'm not missing any appointments. I'm not missing any, what is it called? Like I always forget it, but when they check the baby,
I know what you're talking about.
Ultrasounds. I'm not missing any of those appointments. Like, he's like, I don't care. This guy will send me videos of him on stage next to Baby Bash, on a concert stage. Like, we're talking about, you know, Glendale, in Arizona, right? He showed me a video, the stadium there in Glendale. He has his kids on his shoulders, freaking dancing, and, like, I'm like, dude. Like, that's great, because that's what I imagine for my kids. Like, that's what I want. Yeah. And I grew up somewhat that way. You know, I didn't go into it a whole lot. Like, my dad is a great father. He was a great dad. But that also doesn't mean he was a perfect father either, right? And so it all starts, like I was saying earlier, generational. Like, my grandpa was a very abusive guy. Like, I mean, he broke my grandma's nose, like, twice. Like, yeah. Like, whenever you get a chance, talk. I want you guys. Oh, you should bring on my uncle Ninus. That's a guy that you.
Let's do it.
you know,
I followed him on Instagram, so yeah, he's been
running
like
into not knowing that he was your uncle for like weeks now.
Yeah, I kept seeing the last time. I'm like, wait a minute, is it like a Figueroa, like Mexicans?
Dude, yeah, literally, right?
yeah.
Dude, I love him so much, man, and
he's all positive too, dude. I love his energy.
Yeah, he's very well spoken. He's very, and he's not perfect either. Like, Uncle, I love you. You're gonna see this, but you're not perfect either. But he's the guy's been such a pivotal person in my life in this season of my life. He's been such a helpful guidance for me. And we're both at the same crossroads where we're like, dude, we got to end some curses. Like, my grandma was the matriarch of our family, and she passed away when I was like 14. Right, I got her tattooed on my wrist. She's, you know, the way I look at it is like she's with me forever,
always in spirit.
Exactly, yeah. But she was a great woman, and so, you know, like breaking these generational curses, they start, you know, from one person to the next to the next to the next. So where do you want to draw that line, right? You know, where certain things in you know, when you're raising kids, where does that line stop, right? Where do you say, like, you know what, I'm not, like, my dad wasn't like, he wasn't abusive to me physically. Like, I'll take a freaking whooping. Like, I'm not, you know, as a kid, like, I would take a whooping. I don't care. I'll take it on the chin. But, like, you know, verbally, right? Or just things that he was frustrated with, that, like, okay, now I can't be frustrated with my daughter like that because I was raised this way, but I can't be this way with her. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense.
No, 100%. Like, you know, what I can compare it to is that my dad, he wasn't physical. He was just absent. You know, he was very unorganized. He, you know, had multiple families. And for me, I realized that it was just more of the example that I need to set for my kids, because I took very minimal examples from my dad, although I loved him, at peace with him, but he didn't really show me something that I could be proud of and say, hey, this is how I'm going to, you know, live my life, you know, moving forward.
Right.
So a lot of the stuff, like, you know, I had to kind of figure out. Sometimes with my lady, we have tough times. We argue, and I have no, I talk to Andy sometimes, I share what we're going through, but I have no, hey, this is what my dad did back then. So, okay, I could kind of see how mom and dad argued. He kind of would say, okay, like, I have no basis of that. So a lot of that, I really had to understand how to communicate my feelings, and in a way where I could actually get them heard and not hurt someone with my feelings. And that was a huge pivotal point where when I was able to get what was in my head out in words that weren't fighting words, that didn't come out with the, you know, tonality that is going to start a fire here. When I was able to do that, my relationship changed a lot, and I realized that a lot of it was to do with me, the way that I was leading myself, the way that I was talking, the way that I was moving. And that was a byproduct of what I'd seen in my life. So, you know, these last 6 months reshifted my mindset and really just came back to what I know works for me. Like, my whole life is like night and day. Like, hey, people are smiling to me again. Like, what the heck? But it's like, it's that shift in your head that you're like, sometimes you think the world. Maybe it's your inside of the world that you need to re-spark. So, man, just stories on it.
There's a lot behind everything you guys are talking about, like from the generational side, ending things that are maybe they're repeated patterns of behavior from generation to generation. You know, we certainly have that on our side of the family, and it can be something as I'll say as innocent as the concept of perfection.
Right.
You know, that can go generation to generation where you're not accepted, loved, or cared for unless you operate perfectly all the time. And that's something that you can choose to end. Like, if you're watching this part of our show and you're like, oh man, we've got some generational stuff in my house, because some people's generational stuff is like, our family drinks, or our family gets arrested, or our family we're adulterers. So, you know, it's things like that. But it can be something as, I'll say, innocent as like operating in perfection, or the perception that you have to be perfect all the time. And that's something you don't have to carry forward into your life. And especially if you recognize that in your moment now, and you have your own children, whether they're brand new babies that are 2 months old, 6 months old, or you got, like me, Caitlin, who's cutting this show, she's 20, right? At one point, she was brand new. And we used to watch baseball and have a formula, which was milk and baseball was the end of our day. We'd sit on the couch together. And now that was like 20 years ago now. But, you know, you can choose and be proactive to end those things in this generation so they don't pass into the next.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, my biggest focus in life is just being, like, number one dad. Like, end of period. And that's not like for everybody. No, that's for my kids. My goal is to be number one dad. Like, the biggest lesson that I'm learning, and as I go through life, as I'm like, I heard this somewhere, and I always try to do my best. But it's like, kids know how much you love them when they see how much you love their mother. Yeah. And I try to go out of my way to like whether like Divine's not really a big fan of like flowers, right? I mean, not that she won't accept them, right? But like they unfortunately like they die, right? So, but for me, I go out of my way, like I buy her flowers and I buy my daughter flowers like once every 2 weeks because I'm like, you know what? Like she's gonna grow up knowing I tell her this in the morning too, my daughter. I'm like, you're loved, you will love, you're respected, you will respect, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna be a person of value.
There's something that Sam Kamarian came on here and told us, and he was talking about in the business sense, but there's a similarity here. It's success leaves clues. And success leaves clues, right? Yeah. So does that pathway, those like breadcrumbs you leave along the way for your daughter or for your sons. Like, this is how we operate, this is how we treat things. And there's something to say like, hey, this is the Landeros way. This is the Malan way. This is the Cruz way. This is the way we do things. Yeah. Because also the absence, if that's what you're demonstrating or that's what's demonstrated to you, that's also what your kids might find familiar. So it has a lot to do with what people find is familiar. Oh, that's familiar to me. And oh, wait a minute. So if I'm the angry, fly off the cuff, hot-headed dad, I'm not going to be cool to the guy who acts that way to my daughter. But I can't be acting like that. And if I have acted like that, I have to correct that because I want them to have someone who's going to be patient with them. Because there's things that I would say to myself that if some dude said to my daughter, I would not be cool with that right away. But there's a saying I want to leave you guys with because it's something I learned recently, actually through church that was said to me, which is what walks in fathers runs in sons. Oh, so what walks in fathers runs in sons, whether that's generational or by example behaviorally, whatever walks in fathers runs in sons, and you can chop any of that stuff off that doesn't get a seat at the table of what your life looks like moving forward. That seat ain't available to you, bad whatever, and you just let it go.
No, 100%. One of the things I've that I've experienced is that whenever I'm not good at home, things aren't okay, my business suffers for that as well. And it's a very, very strong emotion, but at times you have to realize that, you have to split both of them. And, whenever past guests share that, you have to stay in the moment, because either whether, you're having problems at home, staying in the moment is still going to be what gets you to where you want to be regardless. And that right there is something that I hold very dear because I'm like, dude, there's times where I don't even want to work. I don't even want to podcast. There's sometimes my mood's not here. Yeah. But recently it's like, you have to push through that because there's a bigger purpose, and you're also showing that to your family. You're also showing that you're not showing up. You're also showing that emotions get the best out of you, and I have to be better than that.
But I'm gonna tell you something. But it's the same thing I just told you guys is why we have a certain system set up here. Like I'm saying, hey, there's a Cruz way of doing things in the Cruz household, a Malan way, right? There's a Mortgage Heroes way. We do podcasts on Friday. Yeah, we air them on Wednesday. We do Friends of Mortgage Heroes whenever we can book a guest. Like, that's what we do. Right. So you adopt that as part of who we are and what we stand for because we're trying to reach out to people. 100%. We're trying to get people to be found and find something of themselves and something that we also embody and we have as well, so that there's a connection point and that people aren't by themselves off on floating off into the abyss when they need help from someone who they can trust.
Correct. So true.
So you got to show up. So even though there's days maybe you don't feel like it. Yeah. What do I expect of you? I'm like, hey Brian, we got a show today too. Yeah. Because I expect you to show up. Because you should be expecting me to show up tw
100%.
They say, sorry, not to cut you off, but they say, I just saw this recently, like when pressure, how does it go? When
pressure makes diamonds?
No. Well, pressure makes diamonds is one of them. But no, there's another one that says, when you feel like you're under pressure, just remember that's because that things are required of you, right? Like, but that means that you're also
to whom much is given, much is expected.
To whom much is given, much is expected. But there's another saying though. With
you should have just called it an Andy card. Like, Andy, can you get this out of my head? I'm having trouble.
Andy, sub.
Hey, can you guys like touch heads like iPhones and then like information transfers?
It's that airdrop.
It's a ball thing. You know?
It's a ball. Apparently, I didn't get the memo.
No, but it's true though, because you know what? When you have pressure. Right, you should be thankful for the pressure of those of anything in life, right? Because to an extent, even though you're under pressure, that means that something's required of you. Yeah. It means hey, somebody's needing you for something, and that makes you feel of value. You're of value to somebody.
My buddy once told me, while I was going through a bad season, he didn't sugarcoat anything to me. He just looked at me. He listened to me. He looked at me. He's like, "Well, this is what you wanted."
Yeah,
He's
right?
like, this is what you asked for. Hey, like, hey, Javi cutting my hair, and I'm over here like, just bro, nothing's going right.
Wow.
This and that. He does not say anything, and for him not to say anything, he always has an opinion on everything.
Dude, but he didn't have to say anything else in that.
No, I shut up, and we went through the rest of the haircut, and I'm like, okay, noted. but sometimes it has to be like that.
Yeah.
You just have to get told straight up.
Hey, that's a good friend right there.
Yeah, shout out
That's
Javi,
a real
bro.
good friend
Yeah.
right there.
Shout out Javi.
And I gave it back to him after, once in a while.
Yeah.
But hey, June, before we log on, I want to get a few rapid fire questions. Give me a quick answer. Let's see what you think. All right.
All right, I'm ready.
Dream guest for your podcast.
Oh gosh,
I already know. It's the one you emailed me about.
Well, that's one.
Say it.
No. Well, it's okay. It's Mark Cuban. I emailed Mark Cuban real quick.
Should we say it again so you can?
No. My dream guest, if I'm being honest, is Donald Trump. I actually want Donald Trump on my podcast.
Oh shoot!
But that's
I didn't know that.
Hey, let me
No,
ask
no.
that again and go ahead with Donald Trump.
yeah. So the answer to that is Donald Trump. But Mark Cuban, Mark, like
Whoever answers first, I'd be down.
yeah, like look, when he responded to me, I was like, holy shit, because I've heard of like him responding to people. I just didn't know he would respond back that fast, and he responded from the Dallas Mavericks email. So I was like, what the hell's
It's
happening?
him.
Yeah, no, he's not my dream guest. My dream guest is Donald Trump, honestly. But I'm hoping that I can somehow do that one day if God willing, he's still alive. Because I don't know how long it's going to take me to build this damn podcast up, man. But that's like
Brick by brick, however long it takes.
Gosh, man.
All right. Most underrated taco
China.
spot in Chula Vista.
Say that again.
Most underrated taco shop. Oh, most underrated taco spot in Chula Vista.
In Chula.
Yeah, but you said underrated. Like all the ones that are good.
Okay,
are
what?
rated,
Okay,
rated.
let me
Like-
rephrase that. Most overrated taco shop.
Oh, no, I like that
no.
one.
I like that one too.
I like that one because it's Canelo spot.
Okay, good. I was gonna
shoot.
say I've heard that a lot.
No.
You heard it here. You heard it here first.
You like it?
No. I'm just saying I was surprised you'd say that one.
Oh no,
Hey,
yeah.
hey, that's his guy. I don't know if you know.
Who?
Canelo's
No,
his
no.
guy.
I know he is. Like, sorry, Canelo, if you hear
no,
this.
no.
But
fine.
no. But I'm saying. No, yeah, like as if he's gonna listen. That'd be I'd be surprised.
I'll text.
So
him.
my Michelle's doctor is really good friends with him, and he actually helps him on reconstructive like surgery for like his face when he fights. And he was just out in Dubai when he fought. They went out to golf because he golfs, so that was pretty.
I just saw him like some video of him golfing in Tijuana.
Yeah, my girl showed me yesterday. She's all about him. I mean, what?
But yeah, that taco shop, like the thing is Tijuana tacos are different than like Mexico City tacos, different than like tacos from Guadalajara. They're different. So it's just a difference of opinion. But to me, I went like I'm not.
Okay, then what's your go-to spot?
To be honest with you, my go-to spot's not even in San Diego. It's in TJ.
Okay.
It's called it was called Taconazo. I think now it's called Tijuanazo.
Oh yeah, I know which that one's good.
And they have one now. It's in Hillcrest, but
Every time they bring it over the border, in my opinion, it's never the same.
no, it's not the same. It's not the same. You got to go there and get it.
Road
it's-
trip.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
do it.
right.
All right. Next one. One thing you can't start your day without.
Praying.
Ooh, okay.
That and lately it's been giving my daughter her bottle. It's like become a habit to me. But praying is like I sometimes I wake up like already filled with anxiety and tremoring, and I'm like, God help me through the day. 'cause-
bro, that's me. I wake up at 4 and first thing I say is thank you.
Yeah, thank you for filling.
Sounds silly, but it
I have
helps.
this like repetitive prayer, like thank you for filling like my air with lungs. Thank you for my home that you've given us. Thank you for my car that I drive. Thank you for everything that you've allowed me to have.
I've never heard that one before. Filling my air with lungs. That's a new one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write that
Well,
one.
because you don't deserve life, though, man.
No,
Like-
bro, no. I said my air with lungs.
Oh, my lungs with air, damn it! Yeah.
Hey, everyone knew what you meant. I just picked up on how you said it.
No,
That's all.
thank you.
I'm gonna
No,
give you
you're
one more.
good.
Hey, this is perfect. Leading right into it. Favorite motivational quote or mantra?
You miss 100% of the shots you never take. That's like, that's.
There's an inside joke to this. I'm gonna let you finish.
Oh yeah. So no, that one. The other one is the people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I think those are like my two mantras.
All right, last one before we log off, bro. What legacy do you want to leave behind?
A life where I have impacted as many people in a positive way as possible. I don't, when I'm big on this, man. When you die, what do you want people to say about you? Like, you'll be on the other side of eternity, right? So it doesn't really matter because you're not going to be there to hear it. But what positive impact did you leave on people before you died, right? Did you leave this earth better than when you came into it, or did you leave it worse? Or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's my legacy that I want to leave behind. And if my kids ever hear this in the future, like that's what I expect of you guys. You were not brought here to the best country in the world for no freaking reason. Your forefathers, right, came here to do something better with their lives, and that's why dad is going to do everything in his power to make sure he's not just average Joe Schmo. So
let's fucking go, June. June the Realtor in the house.
Hey, you got to tell them our inside joke about the 100% of shots.
So,
come on, go ahead, take your pound of flesh right now, Brian.
So we were doing the Mortgage Heroes podcast, and Andy he prepares a quote, and he's like, "Oh, and this quote from Wayne Gretzky." And what quote did you say?
I was talking about the one where you got to skate to where the puck is going, not where it's at. Talking
and then
about
right
where the
after
market
that,
is going.
Right after that, I'm like, "Yeah, just like the Wayne Gretzky one, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take." And then Andy's like, "What is that even a?" And then I was like, "Caitlin, can you fact check?"
Didn't Jordan say that?
She's like, "Yeah, it's Wayne Gretzky." I'm like, "Told you." And then we ended up there.
Jordan's saying was the 1,000 shots, right?
Yeah, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
No,
I'm just kidding.
No.
Hey, yo, cut. Andy, let's go talk outside.
So, hey, I'm just gonna keep saying it until the internet thinks that Michael Jordan said it.
Oh, dude.
But June, thank you so much for your time, man. Thank you for sharing your stories, your wisdom, your energy, and everything that you've been through, bro. I really appreciate it. I hope somebody at home could take, a play out of his book, the advice that he's talking about, and just run with it. Take a leap of faith. Everything that you want is on the other side, and you can always come back and help others.
Absolutely. Well, if I can, I do this on my podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm okay to do this.
Dude, please take the floor.
But what I love to do at the end of every podcast, because you never know what people are going through when they're watching this, right? I at one point in time when I was 20, I went through this really rough spot, in life, right? I'm making a boatload of money. I made almost $200,000 at 20. I had all this money in my account, and guess what? I was broken on the inside. I was dead on the inside, right? And the reason is depression is real, man. People go live their lives in anxiety, and they live their lives. Anxiety is just a form of depression. It leads to depression. And so if you're out there and you're struggling and you're looking for like a key sign of hope and you're listening, like, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Don't hesitate to reach out to Andy or Brian. For the most part, guys, like I've said a lot, is life is short, right? You get one shot at life, man. And so don't live it miserably. Find a way to work yourself out of a funk. Talk to people. Get out there. Because, you never know what people are going through, bro. People, they look for... every time I see a butterfly fly, right? This is so corny. But every time I see a butterfly fly around, I always think, you know what, maybe that's my grandma trying to tell me something. Or maybe that's God trying to tell me something like, hey, you know what, you're going through something, but there's something brighter around the corner. And so some people look for little hints and stuff. And when you're depressed, you look for any positivity you can find. And
I got to share the dime story with you, and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Men, if you're not talking, start talking. Men, if you are talking, keep talking.
Yeah.
There you go. I like that. That's a good one.
I think that's a good way to end it, Andy. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Later.